What's up, guys? It is Stash Wars Live. I'm your host, Mike the Sig Slayer, and I'm chilling with the Honorable Villain and my man Jason, the Southern Comic Geek. How you doing, guys?
What's up, man? Good.
Man, it's another fantastic Friday, man. We got a great slate of topics to talk about. We're going to just dive on in. Everybody, be sure to like this video and subscribe to both of our channels, please. And if you want to support my channel and you like any of the comments that I display, hit the link in the eBay store. It'll be all available after this. So I'll be listing all of the stuff that I show later on. But we're about to just dive on in. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay, gentlemen, we are 1 week after OAX, and we're 1 week before Megacon. Now, of the three of us here, Jason, you were the man holding it down at OAX last week. And so just off the rip, what were your general impressions? I know you were there last year, right? Too, right?
No,
for sure. So this is your first time. So what were your first impressions of OAX?
So compared to other Comic Cons, it was very chill, relaxed. Whereas, especially if you go to like a fan expo show, like a Megacon or some sort, you have very thin aisles. Everybody's hustling, bustling, bumping you out of the way. I mean, it's all just a thing of, hey, give me your money, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, and you move on. Whereas, like, you want to sit there and talk with folks about their art, about how they got into the business, all that kind of stuff. You can't really do that at a lot of these shows nowadays. So OAX was not that way. The artists were all super chill. Most of them didn't charge you for signing anything, their art or their books. Now, I was one of the few guys that was bringing comics to get signed.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's funny. It's like, oh, you still read those things? But anyway, and I have a fun story to tell you about one of those that I got signed. But so a lot of dealers there, but the deals to be made at OAX, as I found out, and I was told this prior, that the deals to be made were the deals that were made prior to OAX and on the side, because they had a room where like people would just sit there and like flip portfolios, do the trading and all this kind of stuff.
Whoa, that's why I want to go.
Yeah. That's where the magic takes place, because like I was telling you when we met at Baltimore, that's where the awesome stuff is. Like, this stuff never sees the light of day. It's in somebody's collection. They could sell it, but they really don't want to sell it. But they wouldn't mind selling it as much if they sell it to somebody that gets as much enjoyment out of it as what they would, right? So all the big auction houses were there and had a presence. So. One of the options for OAX is to have pre-con commissions done. So if you want a big commission from somebody who maybe doesn't get to the States as often, like Simone DeMeo, Simone Bianchi, right. Bob Layton, certainly. He only comes to one show a year in the United States now. So, that was your time to get in on the action there. So I had two con commissions that I picked up that were like that. And did a little buying, dropped some stuff off for an auction house that I've decided to part ways with. And just had an overall great time. The rest of the time sitting there yapping up some art, showing some awesome stuff. Some big boy deals went down there, y'all. We'll talk about that. Kind of related to some of the stuff I picked up. But not that my deals were the big boy deals, but they're related to the big boy deals, just to be clear.
Okay, Mark, before you ask your question, I just gotta follow up, man, because my head's about to explode, because Jimmy Palmiotti pretty much said verbatim what you said about OAX and all the stuff that cracks off before OAX even starts, and you just so just matter of factly said it, and that just makes me so want to be there. So I can't wait. So just based on your collecting sensibilities, your collecting preferences, what was some trades or whatever that happened that day that you were like, oh man?
So Turok 1, which printed, I don't know, back in the day, 500 plus 1,000 copies. forget how many copies that are out there. I have 200 something of them myself, but the actual cover sold at this show on the DL. So, but it's and so that was one. The Just Go Marvel Masterpiece. I think this has been broadcast, so I'm not telling anybody else's tales. But on Swaggerhoss's show, he mentions who bought Marvel Masterpiece, Strong Guy card art, and some other stuff. And that's another thing. I mean, just going through the Museum of History, did you see that? I think I tagged you in on that, the Collecting Black.
Yes, they brought that. Yes.
I mean, just amazing pieces like the people were pulling together just for everybody to have enjoyment in. And Julie Bell, I mean, just a lot of great stuff to see. And again, no rush. It wasn't like you're in a line, you got to do this little thing, you just kind of chill, talk about it the whole time you're there. So,
Jason, what was one of the biggest highlights there, experience-wise, not collection-wise?
Experience-wise, always getting to see guys either for the first time or maybe returning from another con. There was a lot of amped up, people talking it up, what we're going to do when we get there, what's your plans, what are you going to get, and all that kind of stuff. I do a show on my channel. It streams over to 24/7 Comics' channel, also Carl Choi over there. And he was there. He picked up a lot of stuff himself and just really hyping it up. I mean, if you go and look at some of the videos, the stuff that was there in your fingertips, Ultimate Fallout 4.
Man.
This is making me hype. First Darkhawk transformation, Darkhawk 1.
What?
Yeah. I mean, it's no, and there's a dealer. I won't call their name. However, they're more of a museum because they never list their prices on anything, and they're always 3 or 4 times what they paid for them. And they were there, and got some secrets in trade of how to get them to finagle down, which I'll share offline if you're interested. But I mean, the stuff that they got, like if you just want OG golden and silver age DC art, they got it. I mean, it's more like a museum, really. I don't think it's like, if you give me this much, I'll part with it. But if you don't, that's fine too. So,
so this probably all the biggest dealers. So we're like Cool Lines, were they there? Like Panel Page art, were they like those old guys? That
it's funny. It's funny. The name I don't call out first is the first one that he mentions. But yeah, so Glenn from Panel Pages, Mike Berkey, Anthony, all those guys were there. There were several people that have extensive collections who had purchased booths as well, and they were just trying to move some product. Dave Wilkins, J Giant, who reps Joe Bennett. And sells most and collects mostly Hulk stuff, but he was there. He had a booth.
What was the coolest Batman stuff you seen? When you see any like cool Batman art, anything classic?
I mean, there was a lot of David Finch stuff. There was some stuff that exchanged hands. I had actually Wolvie fan is what he goes by. He has
the dude with the beard.
Yeah, Rob. Which has like the whole issue of, was it Wolverine 93 where he pops the claw into Sabretooth's head? That's the whole issue.
He has the whole issue of art?
Yeah.
How does that even work? Like, how do you even do that?
Right in bulk.
He bought it from Adam Kubert.
Okay.
But Adam rarely,
that's crazy.
A lot of Adam's stuff he don't get rid of. Like all the Kuberts are that way. And so, they basically hold on to a lot of their stuff. And so, but anyway, he owns that book. And so he does his little wheeling and dealing on his website. Well, he had dealt with Glenn on this Wizard promo of JLA. If you remember the relaunch of JLA in the late 90s, when you had like
Morrison in them?
Yeah. And so they had like a full DPS of the whole team coming down. You're talking about Aquaman with the hook hand and all that kind of good stuff, I think, back then too. So he had done a deal and it landed over at Glenn's. I'm like, you just got that from Rob? He's like, yeah. was like, how much you want for that? $2,000 from what it was just 2 seconds ago. Okay, well, you can hold on to it like he was. And there was a great DPS that same Morrison run of JLA. I forget who the artist on it was. It might have been
Porter.
Might have been Porter. And so it was a great piece too. Well, if you're interested, Panel Page just listed it on their website. But just some great stuff all around. Didn't see any kind of standout Green Lantern stuff other than the OG Silver Age stuff.
Okay. All right, man. Okay, man. All right. Now I'm excited about you and what you got. Where do you want to start, man? We're talking about your loot from OAX.
Okay. So, we can start by one of the weirdos that actually got comics to get signed. So I'm a Valiant fan. And so I think I showed on this very show the Cheezosaurus Rex is one of the pickups. And everybody's like, what's Cheezosaurus Rex? So Bob Layton, who is one of the founders of Valiant Comics, certainly, inked a ton load of stuff over there. This is actually uncredited. And so I was unsure, but I figured he would know if anybody did. So I brought it, and as soon as he saw it, he says, Cheezosaurus Rex. He said, this is the most expensive Bob Layton comic there is. He took a picture of it and sent it to a friend of his overseas. And he says he's a big Cheezosaurus Rex fan, which there's another version of this. It's not quite as rare, but I own it too. And so Art Nichols and him did this. And Art Nichols just recently passed from cancer last week or week before last.
Oh, wow.
And so, so he signed that very joyously, telling his art rep, Spencer Beck, man, you know about Cheezosaurus Rex? You know about Cheezosaurus Rex? He was just like a little kid. I'll tell you, it was so fun to watch him just talk about how it was like a little kid, I was like, oh man, I got this cool comic, somebody actually knows what it is.
Man, when you brought that last time, I had no clue what it was, man. You were schooling me on that. And the fact that you got that kind of reaction out of Legend Bob Layton.
Well, and I don't remember. I think one of the pieces that I gave to you is the Bob Layton ride piece, the homage.
I have it right here. Yep. You want to start there?
Yeah, we can start there. When I found out that Bob Layton was going to be one of the options for pre-OAX commission, I jumped on it right then. I felt like pretty much that this was the scene or the moment. So this is kind of like not only an homage to Hulk 340, but it's also like the moment that he meets Mother God and starts that final battle, which he ends up dying from, which I actually have that page. I acquired it last year. And so Bob leapt at the chance because they can turn down, the options or say, yeah, I don't really want to do that. He's like, man, that's awesome. So I get to the table and I say, hey, I'm here to pick up my ride commission. He says, you already have it. I said, no, I don't. And he says, yeah, you do. And so he's sitting there just bumfuzzled trying to figure out what in the world has happened to my art. And he says, I bet you I know what happened. He said, I sent over a bunch of pages to this other guy who does some stuff with my art, sells it for charity, whatever. And I bet you it's in with that. He said, I'm going to ask him. Don't worry about it. I'm going to get you your piece. And I'm like, all right. Well, another buddy of mine walks up and asks him for his piece. And he tells him the exact same thing. You already have it. And I said, well, it sounds like your piece is the same place mine is. Well, come to find out they were. And they were face to face. And so they were the blank backs were hiding the fact that there was art in between those two pieces of paper. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens that the guy that he was referring to was at OAX. So he calls me up and says, hey, Bob wanted me to call and say it's all my fault. And you hear Bob in the background saying, see, I told you it wasn't me. So anyway, so I walked back down there and picked up my piece, and my friend picked up his as well. So fantastic. And Bob is a machine. I gave him this idea one day, and it was done the next. He sent me a fully scanned thing the next day.
And this is 11 by 17. What's the dimensions on this?
Yeah, 11 by 17.
It's a great piece, man.
Yeah,
He's made this out of one day, dude.
Yeah, absolute machine. And I mean, he does color. So he taught himself to color during COVID. So he actually likes to color pieces now. He does a lot of homages of his own stuff or recreations of his own stuff, and colors a lot of them. I thought about having him color this one, especially with the rye red dot there, but decided against that. But yeah, so half the story is the fact that Bob Layton almost lost my piece, or certainly sent it to the wrong place.
What piece you want to hit next?
Whichever one you want.
Okay, so I'm gonna go to this Solar Man joint right here because I love this one. This was one of my favorites of it.
So this came out of the collection of Jimmy Palmiotti, and so when I went to get Jimmy to sign my art, I had a couple of art pages from him, and I wanted to sign at the bottom, and so I went to get him to sign it, and he says, "Hey, you ought to get that cover that's in the auction." And I said, yeah, a buddy of mine wants to go after it. So, I'm going to let him go. And we'll come to find out we were exchanging texts. He says, man, you go for it if you want it. So I did. I won it. And so I brought it back to Jimmy the next day and for him to sign it at the bottom. And Jimmy, we just had a really great conversation about art. And, he had a lot of in his box, like his throwaway box for $75. Now, this is what I missed out on. As much as I picked up, this is what I missed out on. This is the stuff you got to watch for. Jimmy had in his throwaway box for $75 a page, Bernie Wrightson,
what?
Jimmy Palmiotti, Punisher pages. When they did that Punisher run?
Yeah, but that was was it with Jim Starlin writing it?
I don't think Jim.
Okay, though.
But yeah, but Bernie was
thinking of the Jim Starlin,
and Jimmy was. This is like during the Punisher Max stuff back.
Okay. Now I know where you at. Okay, yeah.
And so Bernie Wrightson was writing this. I mean, penciling this stuff. Palmiotti was inking it. I mean, where are you going to get a Wrightson piece for $75, man? He's like, yeah, I noticed it was in there. I had to pull it out, but somebody had gone over there and he would have, honored it. But we were talking about how the price of everything, art in this case, had gone up, and it kind of created a barrier of entry. When we were young, the spinner rack was our gateway drug into all this, right? And with that gone, a lot of collectors have kind of gone to other avenues or other obsessions, and so the same thing's going to happen with art if art continues to skyrocket. So we have to have some kind of gentle gateway drug to get them into spending these big bucks that this stuff costs a lot of times. But,
it seems like, as everything kind of goes up at the same time, right? So like, SIGs went up, art went up, everything went, like everything just kind of just went up all of a sudden in one big chunk. And but every now and then, though, you'll find a diamond in the rough. Mm-hmm. I wish somebody picked up that Bernie Wrightson Punisher page. I wish for $75.
Right?
That would have been crazy.
And what was crazy was he told me when I got those first pages signed, he said, there's some Solar pages over there. And I got distracted and I forgot all about it and walked off. Well, the other guy that was bidding me up on this got those Solar pages instead, because I saw him post them to his CAF page. And so when I came back to get him to sign this, he goes, somebody came and cleaned me out the other day. I was like, dang, got me. So you win some, you lose some. So there you go.
All right. So this one here, this is another one, another butte right here. This freaking this Turok page right here, dude, is pretty heavy.
So yeah, this is another case of you win some, you lose some. Okay. So Bart Sears announced that he was going to be at OAX on Comic Art Live's channel. He said, I actually have the Turok #1. This is from volume 2. This is from the Dynamite run, but this is an obvious homage to his original cover for Turok 1 from the Valiant days. And so he says, I actually had that cover. I immediately reached out to him and said, how much do you want for that cover? They told me. I said, I think I'm going to pass. So I get to OAX and I look down. I said, there's that cover. I said, I tried to come to grips with this cover, but I really couldn't come to an agreement. She said, well, make me an offer. And I looked down and I saw the price was half of what they originally told me it was going to be. And I said, I'll take it. Now, as soon as I said I'd take it, I immediately go, dadgummit, why didn't you ask for $500 off?
Man, this is a cool piece.
Okay. I was just so excited about getting it. Now, West Coast Avengers, Dave, I don't know if you were familiar with his YouTube channel or not. He told me that he came by right after me to pick this up and missed it. So it's, again, a good game of give or take. But see, I knew where the original one of this is. Okay, so there was an art dealer at this show that had the cover to the original one. And a deal went down and they bought the original one was sold low key. I say low key, it wasn't like widely publicized, but it is known that who bought it and I know how much he paid for it. But so yeah, big stuff went down at OAX. It'd be interesting to know whether or not Bill was able to collect any data from at least the dealers as to how much business kind of went through that weekend, for nothing else than to say, hey, dealer X out there, come next year because this is how much was sold this year, that type of thing. But
I need you to educate me on something, man, because like I said, I'm just such a DC homer. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know that much about, I know some Marvel, I know a little indies, but Turok. I grew up. Turok was a video game. So what came first? Was they made a video game from the comic, or vice versa?
The comic was the OG. So if you think of Gold Key or Dell Comics, Turok, Son of Stone was one of those comics. Well, when those had long gone out of print, so when Western Publishing, who owned that, Jim Shooter was able to strike up a deal to use those three main characters, Magnus, Solar, and Turok, as the launching pads for a new superhero universe. And so those are owned by Western Publishing, are not part of the Valiant continuity anymore for that reason. So, but yeah. And so when Acclaim, who made that video game, bought Valiant Comics out in the late 90s, they relaunched Turok as a much younger guy, but then they had this Doom-esque deal where he would travel around and kill dinosaurs, like many of the video games did back then. But yeah, certainly a lot of people of a certain age group, that's what they know Turok by is by the video game.
Man, that's all I know it for. I think it was Nintendo 64. Man, like that was fantastic. I love that you got like this insider knowledge, kind of just like how I am with SIGs. You're kind of like that with the ecosystem of art. And I never asked you this question. When did you get involved in the art scene in the way that you are now?
So it's like any gateway drug. You start small, you go big. I remember saying I'll never pay $300 for a page. I remember saying I'll never pay $1,000 for a page. I remember never pay $5,000 for a page. Yeah, all of those have been passed. And so my first two art pages I bought at Pensacon from John Dale. They were Ron Friends. So Ron Friends pencils, John Dale inks. They were Emerald Warriors. They were Batman, and Guy Gardner was on the pages. And so I still have those pages. But so I got to looking at those, picked up those, picked up another one at that show. And then from there on out, I just find myself, because as I was getting the comics that I all wanted, I'm like, what else am I looking for? Let me look at this. It's kind of the next evolution of things. And so that's kind of the deal there. And so when we are addicted, we tend to let other people, and that's why Mr. Collector mentions in the chat that Southern's the reason why I'm addicted to original art now. But it is a kind of a natural evolution of things, because now some people are like art collectors in the sense that they just can appreciate the art in of itself. I'm not generally that way. I'm normally a story art collector. So like the art can even be like I have a lot of pieces from Don Perlin. Now, I doubt there's many people out there that say Don Perlin's their favorite artist. You know, he was never the flashy type. However, the story surrounding that Perlin was involved in with his art is what ties me to that art, if that makes sense. And so,
Right.
you know, and so that's generally what I collect. And because Valiant is more known for their stories, that's why I lean there. But, you know, I've got my fair share of Batman, you know, other fandoms, Transformers, Incredible Hulk, you know, those type of things.
So wrapping up OAX, Jason, any final thoughts? Obviously you recommend us to go, but you know, I just want to give you the floor. What are your final thoughts about 2025 OAX?
2025 OAX, hopefully 2026 will be a lot easier to get there. Roads iced over, most snow in the Southeast in 100 years. I've never had to push my wife's car up the hill, never got turned back because I-10 got shut down. All these new firsts for me. I'd prefer not to have them next year.
You drove?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Gangster.
And so there's that. But certainly provided an extra memory and froze my tail off Friday night in Orlando, Florida. Who would thought it would be like freezing? I mean, who would think it? But it is going to be a few weeks later next year. Hopefully we won't have a Century's new record next year. But be that as it may, I'm already planning on, you know, making OAX a yearly pilgrimage, as it were, because I feel like things are just going to continue to get bigger as more people evolve into that, as they kind of expand things, because they kind of kept the number of artists there. They wanted to keep kind of a low-key feel, so there's only a certain number of artists you can have without it getting like way too big.
Right.
But I feel like the more demand that's there, they're just going to, okay, we're just going to go ahead and push it out. So instead of maybe 75, maybe they go 95 or, you know, 85, whatever. And so I think there's going to be continued tweaks. Bill's adding a lot of people with a lot more knowledge on how to do all that kind of stuff. That would be a great idea, Mr. Collector. And a good example of this, Daniel Castro, who is more known on the comic book side of things and YouTube on as a seller, he was actually there. And I met him and sat by him at the art auction Saturday night. But, you know, I think as it continues to get bigger, the demand's going to be there. Bill's surrounding himself with a lot of people that have got a lot of big ideas, and I feel like it's just going to continue to get bigger. So if you like original art, if you like a low-key feel, all the deals, you know, on the sidelines before you even get there, you know, most of the deals are made and it's just happening and talking about it when you get there. If you like that in a show, OAX is for you.
Man, well,
I'll be there.
I'm gonna make it a priority. That's gonna be one of my priority shows for 2026. But I had to go. I had to go to Megacon again, and that's the segue right here. I had to go again. Orlando was weird for me. I don't know. I can't say about you guys. It was, you know, I almost got hit so many times just crossing the street and stuff. It was wild. But once I got to the actual con, I haven't seen a con that big other than San Diego. And for me, if you guys don't know by now, know it. I'm a huge Jeff Johns fan. And so Ghost Machine with Yvonne Reese and Jason Fabok and like everybody that I absolutely love as far as their work was all in one spot with Tony Daniel, right? So Tony Daniel and a bunch of other heads. So you have something to say, Mark?
It wasn't huge comic talent wise though. There's like a lot of the con is very like anime and like television and movie stuff, right?
No, Megacon was crazy. No, Megacon to me is not, I would say it's not as big as San Diego's talent and Heroes talent, but other than that, I would say as far as concentrated current talent, there's no other show other than New York and San Diego, you know, because Megacon has a bunch of legends and a bunch of pros and stuff, but we're talking about concentrated people that have popular titles that are on stands today. Megacon did a good job last year, and Megacon did a fantastic job this year. And we got the Todd Father. The Todd Father will be there. And we've been talking about Megacon directly or indirectly for the past couple of lives, and that's because it is kind of the Kickstarter for the con season, and it's a huge overloaded, bloated show. Now, we didn't really talk too much about Todd Mcfarlane because really we were trying to get ready and get our minds wrapped around how much we're going to be paying and how much people charge for signatures and all of that jazz. And so I kind of knew that Todd Mcfarlane doesn't typically charge unless it's like a CGC signing or something like that. But I've only been to Megacon. This will only be my second time. And so I never really experienced Todd Mcfarlane at a show other than San Diego. So I know how that rolls. I know that San Diego has an image booth and there's a whole rigmarole and rat race around that. But if you've been to San Diego Comic-Con, you know, okay, you can get your hot toddies that way. But here at the biggest fan expo, really, because that's what Megacon is the gigantic steroided out fan expo. I've never seen Todd at any of the fan expos, you know, me personally. So, and that's a different operation. There's no image booth at a fan expo. So how did, you know, is he charging? Is he going to be temporarily repped? You know, like, I don't know. You know, I didn't know. And so I'm glad to announce, and if you already go into Megacon, you probably already know, but I just want to officially state it, that Todd Mcfarlane is free. But it's a raffle. So you had to get your email. So if you already bought your badge, which you should have already, you already got an email letting you know that you can submit for the raffle to be a part of the Todd McFarlane signings. And he's signing all 4 days, which I was like, wow, because normally he's a, you know, Friday, you know, Saturday kind of guy. And so for him to be there the whole show and to sign, I think that's a big deal. I'm going to be there all days. And so I'm hoping that I'll get one. I mean, I got, 4 chances, my luck, I kind of suck, but with winning these types of stuff, but I'm excited to let everybody know that Todd Mcfarlane is free 99. Okay. Just get lucky. All you need is luck and a hot book. Okay. Or a Funko Pop or whatever you rascals get signed these days. I'm old fashioned. I'm going to get my comic. You might get a Funko Pop or a pack of Starburst. I don't know. But anyway. All right, guys. Okay. I have to ask this question. One, we all agreed that Todd Mcfarlane is he the number one guy in comics? Who's the number one? Who's at the top of the pyramid?
And in what sense? In
whatever comes to mind. Who is on top? Mm-hmm. So meaning like all time, alive. The official head top dog overall.
I think
guy that's most popular, most known.
I think Todd is the best businessman. I think Todd was really the spearhead for getting Image together and making Image what it is now. There's no one that really spearheads like the other publishers like Todd does.
Well, I mean, you got Jim Lee as head of one of the big two. But the thing that, and I think this is along the same lines, Mark, when they left, they took a big risk on themselves. They took a big bet. And all of them, count them, all of them have crawled back to Marvel when that money came a-calling, except for Todd Mcfarlane. He was the only one that said, you come to me, I'm not coming to you. And so now he's doing their toys. He's doing their toys. He didn't go to them and say, okay, I'll just do this little art for you like some of these other guys did, or like when Heroes Reborn happened and Liefeld and Portacio and Lee went back. Yeah, he didn't do it. He said, I'm standing my ground. I'm right here. And this is, I'll die on this hill. And so, hey, kudos to him for that. So, I mean, definitely him, Jim Lee. I mean, they've got to be Rob Liefeld doesn't have as much of the thing. I mean, he's still relevant, but I mean, he's
Yeah,
not.
he's relevant. He's relevant, but he's not top dog. He's not top dog. No, top
and
top
he doesn't.
dog.
He doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to be the finger. He'd rather be down in the weeds running his mouth. But Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee are certainly up there.
Jason, I think you explained it perfectly. Jim Lee is like right there. I'm not even going to say 1A, 1B. It's solid 1 and 2. Like because Todd, for all the reasons that you stated, man, he bet on himself and he stood on it for the test of time to the point where creators for the last 30 some odd years have been following in his footsteps and using Image Comics as an area where they can get their own IP out. So to me, it's a no-brainer that Todd McFarlane is the number one. If you guys are watching this, let us know in the chat. Is Todd McFarlane the number one top dog in comics? Is he the top dog? I think we're all in agreement that Todd McFarlane is number one. And I felt that way, to be honest with you. I know this is going to sound weird. I felt that way ever since Stan Lee died. Okay. Because Stan Lee, even though Todd McFarlane, was reaching heights and all of that, Stan Lee was still like the Ronald McDonald of comics in general. You know what I mean? You can't get bigger than Ronald McDonald. You know what I mean? Like, the Big Mac is good, but like Ronald McDonald is still McDonald's. When you see him, you still think McDonald's. When you think of Stan Lee, yes, you think Marvel, but if you're not really hip to comics like that, you think comic books in general. When you see Stan Lee's face, you think of comic books. And I think once he passed away, I think that the crown got passed to Todd. And I think Stan Lee is different than Todd. I think that his significance is different in the sense that he was just an overall ambassador for the medium. And he was like the first real like crossover comic book personality, right? Mm-hmm. Like Bob Kane was there, but Bob Kane was not bigger than Stan Lee as far as popularity. You know what I mean? And so once Stan Lee passed away, I felt that Todd, stood up, and that's where the Todd father was born. I don't think that he could be called the Todd father on Stan Lee's watch. Now he can be called the Todd father because he's the big daddy. He's the big dog. And so now my next question, guys, all right, since we're all in agreement that Todd McFarlane is the top, I think that his line, will it be the longest line at Megacon? I don't know. Well, maybe. Well, this is what we do know. Because it's a raffle, the amount of people is controlled, right? Mm. But I have a feeling that the Lotto line is going to be nuts. Like, I'm actually scared. Like, I'm scared of what I'm going to see in the Gabriele Dell'Otto line. Do you guys, what line do you think is going to be? Do you think Gabriele Dell'Otto's line is going to be longer than Todd McFarlane's?
I think, man, people are crazy for Miller, man. Miller's line's always long for some reason, even though his signature is $80. Like I'm a Miller fan, but like, damn, there's too many people in Miller's line for some reason.
You're like, dude, get out.
But yeah, McFarlane, he's free. You have to win the raffle, and McFarlane he's a soldier, man. He'll do 400 signatures, 500 signatures nonstop, and it's one book per person. So,
and he doesn't stop by his own admission, and this is how he continues to sign books at CGC. And that's how he does it, right? Because he says he doesn't eat, therefore nothing comes in, nothing goes out. So this is by his own admission.
No eating, no drinking.
Wow. Yeah. So he like treats this like it's a damn sport.
He's a machine.
Sig Slaying is a sport too.
Well, and so one of the benefits of being in a place like Megacon, you got Frank Miller, you got Lee Bermejo, you got Dell'Otto, you got so many big ones. Maybe that divides the lines a little bit, and maybe there's a little relaxation.
Please.
Right. You might be right, Jason, man. So I'm just hoping that the comic gods are with us. But as we always say, early bird gets the worm. So if I get there early, and stake my claim, I think I'll be all right. Last year we did well. I was third in the Jason Fabok line on the first day. So that was crazy. So I'm hoping
Now we know where we're going, though.
Yeah. That's true too. We've been there before. We know the layout. We know where everyone's at. That's totally true. So yeah, I think we'll be all right.
Be first.
And say what's up to us if you see us at Megacon Artist Alley, because that's where we'll be pretty much all week. You know, Artist Alley pimping. Okay, if you guys won a one of these raffles for one of these days from the Todd Father, I'm starting with you, Jason. What one book would you choose and why?
So I have 2 copies of this book, and it's kind of related to one of the art pieces you showed earlier. And the other copy of this book that I had signed at Baltimore got lost in the mail. Thank you, FedEx.
Oh, wow.
And so we'll have to settle for this version. But it's the classic Hulk 340.
There it is.
Already signed by Bob Wyachek. And it's got a little bling bling inside there, a little Mark Jeweler action.
Mark Jewelers.
Bob Wyachek is a G, though.
Yeah, he's a G.
Well, see,
Man.
my other copy had Bob Wyachek and Peter David on it. And so neither one of them are getting any younger. So
yeah.
Okay, well, that's a pretty good one. I love that cover. I think that's one of my, actually, to be honest with you, Marvel and DC. That's probably my favorite one. I know people like, his Spider-Man covers and stuff like that, but just some about that cover and then the blue background and obviously the reflection of the Hulk in the claws. I just think that's so cool. That's an iconic book. My man Mark, what do you have for the Todd Father? And you bet not say nothing.
I think I have the perfect book for Megacon. I think this is I think they had this book in mind or something, or I have Spawn Batman.
Okay.
right.
I might just pay the $80 and get Miller on this. I'll have McFarlane for free, so I'll say that's a split of $40.
Yeah, there you go.
And then Capullo is going to be there, and Capullo has a splash page on, or he has a pinup in here.
Triple Sig.
So you can get a triple Sig on this one. So there's the Capullo in the back. So William Walker's bringing Curse of Spawn number 17's newsstand. Less than 25 in circulation? What?
That's gangster. I was looking for. I had a poll out. I don't know where the other book went, but it's somewhere.
Lost in the ether.
Lost in the ether. It's somewhere. Oh, here it is. I'll get it real quick.
Does anyone know the story why there's only 25 of those lost? 25 in circulation?
Okay, this one, I'm hoping that Todd, I get lucky with Todd more than one day. That sounded weird. I hope that I win. I hope that
you just might, man.
I hope that I win more than one day. I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
That's how you're gonna win.
All right, so I put up a poll on Sig Slayers Station. I put up a poll to ask the Stash fam, which comic should I get signed by Todd Mcfarlane? Because I was having a bit of a, crisis here. And I have obviously this one. Everybody likes this one. I got 2 of these signed already, but this is the newsstand. And newsstands are just better than everything. You know what I mean? Newsstands. There's a newsstand right here. And so I was thinking maybe I can get the newsstand version. I got this one, so I already got stuff. And Todd did the little bat remark on there for me. And I got Mike DiCarlo in there, and I was waiting on Jim Starlin to sign it. So I got this one, and I got a couple other ones, but this is a newsstand. The newsstand, the all-important newsstand, guys. The newsstand. Yeah, that one, right? So we got that. I was thinking about that, and then I posted this one, though. The newsstand version, and then I posted this one. This one is Spawn Batman, already signed by Jay Fabok and the great Brad Anderson. I love this cover. This is my favorite cover of all of Spawn Batman, the volume I guess 2, that came out a few years back. I have this one, and I was thinking about, hey, well, maybe, I'll be definitely getting Greg Capullo on this because he's the only one that's missing. I also have, just so you know, guys, bam! So I already got Todd on the black and white with Jay Fabok on it. So I'm taking this to get Capullo on it, and that's done. This was in the refrigerator. And so I was thinking about this one. And then I was this might be in the eBay store. So if you like this, it'll be there. And hopefully signed by Todd. Because I already got this one signed by Todd. And so so let me know if I should get this one signed by Todd, because the poll is up. And then thirdly, I will complete this Batman Year 2 set, which is already signed by Mike Barr. Okay. So I have part 2 and part 3 already signed by Todd McFarlane. Part 1, Alan Davis did, and that's already signed by Alan Davis. And so I was thinking of getting this. So if I won, thinking of getting this and having Batman Year 2 completely signed by all the cover artists. And so I'm really curious to find out. Let me know in the chat. Should I get this one signed? Where's the other one? Where's it at? Here we go. Should I get this newsstand? The all-important newsstand? Or should I get, the variant? And I'm not really against none of these getting signed. I mean, any of these, I'm down for all of them. To be honest with you, which would you guys pick of the 3?
I like the 423. The
newsstand. I knew you.
I love that cover.
You're dressed like a newsstand guy.
I'm not a newsstand guy. I like the little art in the other version. I have a newsstand and I want the other version.
You want the with the little bat box where the newsstand?
That's what I like. And McFarlane does that great on like all his Amazing Spider-Man issues. He has like Venom in the little box, and he has Spider-Man and everything. I like that. I don't like newsstands. If you could throw a little more art in there, that's what I like.
I'm OCD. I want the first, second, third. I want the first, second, third print, newsstand, and the Canadian. I don't have the Canadian yet. So that's why I was like, I got the first print. I got the first print already signed, and then I got the third print signed, and then I was thinking about this, and this second print, because I have 2 of them. This could be available for you today. Look at our eBay store. All right, so what about you, Jason? What would you pick of these 3 to get signed by the top followers?
I lean classic Batman cover, but is that a Jason Fabok?
Yes, it is. Yep.
And it's already signed twice. I'm not a big Spawn guy, but man, I really dig that cover. So I mean, that's the one I would go for, especially since you already had a copy of the classic signed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
now, if you didn't, that'd be different. But yeah.
And the Capullo's going to be here too. So Capullo signing this, and Capullo signing this. This is the sketch version of that, and it has Jay on it with Todd already on it. So I think that's a good one. And so let us know in the chat. Check out the poll. I have a poll up. I will literally honor the poll. So whatever you guys decide of the 3, I will honor it and get it signed, because it's literally a toss up to me. I already have this version of the Fabok signed by Todd, so it's not like I'm not out of a complete loss with it. And so let me know. So Todd McFarlane, just to reiterate, he will be free 99. And just to remind everyone, really quickly, of the different tiers. Okay, so for everybody, we've been talking about the tiers so the cows come home, the signature tiers. This is tier 1. $10 is a new $5, and this tier 1 is $10 to $15. Mostly everybody exists in this world for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if Scott Snyder's $15 at this show, though. I just got a bad feeling about that. I hope I'm wrong. Okay, and then we have tier 2, and this is what we're going to talk about next. Tier 2. Gabriele Dell'Otto. We got the news, guys. Gabriele Dell'Otto is tier 2, meaning he is in between $20 and $40. He is $30 raw. So we just got confirmation from the reps at Scott's Collectibles that Gabriele Dell'Otto, I think this is his first U.S. appearance, if not the first in a very, very long time. Gabriele Dell'Otto is 30 bones for a raw Sig, okay? 30 bones for a raw Sig. And so just letting you guys know that. And we were partially right. We were partially right with Gabriele, because we would someone told us that there's a chance that he could be $50, and he is $50. So he's $50 for CGC. So off the rip. So okay, so we were talking about this. This is going to go to tier 4 real quick, $80 to $100. And I'm saying for the most part, if you get anything graded, especially if it's facilitated, even if it's one Sig, it's probably going to fall somewhere in this world here, because all the creators upcharge $10 to $20 more for the grading. And then you have to pay for the actual witnessing and the actual grading appraisal. So pretty much any comic unless you got some kind of discount or something is going to that you grade CGC is going to be around $80 to $100. Okay, so Gabriele Dell'Otto, if his signature is $50, automatically that's going to bring that signature cost for a graded $100 plus, hands down. So that's pretty much how it goes these days. I just want to let everyone know, because I have this weird feeling that Megacon is going to be standing up for Gabriele Dell'Otto. And one of my biggest observations about Megacon last year, and I can say this, with confidence. Other than probably Baltimore last year, I haven't met a bigger group, or haven't seen a bigger group of informed comic book people. Like, everybody knew what was up there. Everybody. It didn't matter. I was talking to young cats, older cats, men, women. I saw families hustling, getting SIGs, waiting in line, toting wagons and shit. Like, they were doing it all. Like, everybody had their grind. It was like the Olympics for collectibles. Like, everybody was rat racing. San Diego is more like Ocean's 11. You have to know all the different, the handshakes, the eye winks, and know where people at. There's a schedule, then there's a shadow schedule. You know what I mean? There's the list of people, then there's a shadow list of people. So Megacon is like just everybody knows what's up. Everybody knows what they're doing, and you better be on your P's and Q's. And if you really want to get it done, get your VIPs lined up, because cats are going to be there. Like, this dude, I met some of the rudest people in Megacon last year. It was crazy. I'm at Brad Anderson's table chatting. We're just talking, right? I bend over to pull out a book. Literally, I'm maybe 3 inches away from the table. I go pick up my book. Some dude comes, knocks me back with his backpack, cuts in front of me because he had a VIP badge, and he noticed that I didn't have a little placard or whatever that had a VIP on it. And I stood up. I was like, dude, what, you got a VIP or something? He goes, yeah. I'm like, dude, a VIP doesn't make you immune to being a dick, okay? I'm at the table, okay? I'm at the table. It's the next available person, not the person that's at the damn table, bro. You know what I'm saying? So they were milking that VIP thing. They were boxing out better than Charles Barkley, dude. It was crazy. So I hope this year, people are bringing their good comic, juju, and we can have a good time. But I just have a feeling. I got Gabriele Dell'Otto with that Action Comics as the icon of this topic, and that $, I want to see how long this line is, guys, for $50, $30. That's not, I mean, shit. 3 SIGs, 4 SIGs, you can get a remark or a con sketch from somebody. You know what I mean? So it's just funny how we all, value different things. But with that said, I'm going to be in that line. Are you going to be in that line, Mark?
Maybe. I have a book. You want me to show the book?
Yeah, let's see the book and tell me why you're getting the book. And then while we at it, guys, especially you, Jason, when it's your turn, I want you to, because you get into the nuts and bolts of just the art. I want you to let us know your opinion about Gabriele Dell'Otto as an artist and what you like about him and all that jazz when it's up to you. Oops, got the wrong thing up. There we go. Man,
I have one book by Gabriele Dell'Otto. Spider-Man Family Business. The pencils are done by Werther Deledra, and he does the finished paints. So he's done few interiors, but this is one of the ones, and I already have it signed by Mark Waid. Great Mark Waid.
Keep that up. So Dell'Otto did the cover or he did the interiors?
No, he did the interiors, man. Finished.
Can I see a Dell'Otto page? I've never seen any interiors by him.
Let me find a good page. First.
I literally haven't seen, like, I know that he someone said he did like Spider-Man something, right?
Secret Wars, where at first appearance. Wait,
Secret War.
That's what it was. Yeah,
It is a good page.
Oh snap! So what era is this?
This recently came out. I think in the past 5 years, I would say.
That is fresh. Okay, so hey, I'm about to put some more spec on Dell'Otto's name. That was a beautiful double page spread there. That was the first interiors I've ever seen, and his work is consistent with this. I mean, his interiors are consistent with his covers, and so that's pretty fantastic. So, Jason, as you showing us what you would bring to get signed by Gabriele Dell'Otto, I want you, break down what you admire about him and when did he step on the scene for you?
I can't remember really. He caught my eye like he did probably a lot of people, not when he was doing interiors, but when he just started doing so many covers. And it's like, wait a minute, this is the same guy. And it's just like consistently so good. And, and so I mentioned earlier that we were talking about this with the price for him. You start having to make tough choices, right? You just can't, it's not like when they're $5-10, okay, I get 100 books signed or whatever. You start having to say, well, it's just going to be the select, at least this go around. And so I'm big on the story behind the book or in the book as to what would make me pick one book over another. So this is the one that I got. This is actually the German version of Star Wars High Republic.
Oh, wow.
It's a nice
and
cover.
So a fellow friend, community member from Europe, who I got to meet actually last year, Thorsten, the Varangian Vigilante, AOK'd this to me 2-3 years ago, and
that's pretty fresh.
Yeah, so this is the one that I would get because again he does a lot of covers. So then narrowing it down to those covers that are surrounded by stories that I like or the book. So. That's why I would pick that one, but definitely a top tier cover artist. One I would love to own a piece of original art from.
Jesus.
However, you might get lucky and get some of his earlier interior pages. Somebody just wants to let go, but his covers, I don't know what they go for, but I don't imagine they're cheap because the Batman ones I've seen, there was one that went, I think it was on Comic Link, that just went for, I think it was like $12,000, but it was just a commission. It wasn't even the cover. It is Batman, Joker, Mr. Freeze, and then there's another rogue, forget who it was, but I mean, it was a killer cover. It was like wall worthy type of art, but
$12K.
Oh yeah, for sure. Number one Marvel fan. Hey, look, number one Marvel fan. I did not ignore you. So, funny story. We were talking about OAX earlier, number one Marvel fan. He says that I met him there. I assume that he is correct. And so, for those of you who don't know, I'm half deaf. And so why sometimes you'll catch me talking out of the side of my mouth, or so I can hear on the side. Anyway, when it's very noisy room like that, so you can imagine what a con does to me. It's like I'm no good in conversation at a con. And so we were at the OAX auction, and I go over there to see somebody, and he stands up to say, "Hey," to me. I didn't even hear a word he just said. I just thought, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" You know? And so then later on, he's like, "Dude, you didn't ignore me. I figured you sit there and talk."
That's funny.
But
yeah, so the Dell'Otto and please, let me check out this comment here. I was sitting at the table in front of you, walked up and was talking to Cavi.
Yeah. So Pixels and Panels used to be Comic Books NYC, Cavi, and so he was there. It was very loud. It was. Now I will say, I don't remember. Were you at Heroes? I knew you were at Baltimore, but
no, I wasn't at Heroes, man. That's next year too. Like OAX Heroes.
Heroes was crazy loud, but OAX handled the auction a lot better as far as keeping it to a minimal and displaying the art. They had a big giant screen that they digitally displayed the stuff, so you could see it better in the back. Whereas Heroes, it was just a crapshoot, you know.
Everybody watching, please be sure to subscribe to the Sig Slayer channel and the Southern Common Geek. We're chilling. This is Stash Wars Live every Friday. We're doing this. We're talking about Megacon Orlando and Gabriele Dell'Otto. What would you get signed for? $30. $30. He is a part of Tier 2. He is $30 raw and $50 CGC. So be prepared. And that's what we're here for. I got to get my books together tonight, or I'm not tonight, but this weekend. And this is kind of like the last conversation we're going to have about a Megacon before I go. So now it's my turn. And once again, the Sig Slayers having issues with what to decide. Well, I'll tell you this, guys. Where is he going to sign this?
Oh,
I'm trying to figure it out. He's signing this joint. Like, he's going to sign this joint. I'm going to figure it out. But, yeah, he's going to join his Melee. I have the other cover, the Virgin cover, the one that's actually in the topic graphic.
Yeah, that's great.
I actually have that. I have that already signed by him, and I just left that. The Virgin cover, I just left that signed by him. But this is the Melee. And so I'm going to somehow get him in there. But yeah, this is my joint right here. This is one of my favorite Gabriele Dell'Otto covers. So that covers it on that. But then it gets kind of murky. I try to get things Batman related, i.e. Batman comics, like the Batman title. I want to have the most Batman signed comics more than anybody in the world. So I'm competing for that title, everyone. And so this will fulfill my goal, one of my goals. This is Batman 124. I'm trying to get that glare out. 124. It's already signed by Joshua Williamson. And so I was thinking, hey, a double Sig with Gabriele Dell'Otto. I don't think I have any Dell'Ottos with more than his signature on it. But hey, we're about to make that happen. Okay. And then I thought I had another one. Oh, I did. This Detective Comics. Now, I want to, there it is. There's a signature. Because when I was looking at DC fandom, that's where I kind of get some of my comic book facts about, DC. They don't mention him as the cover artist on this. And so, but I know his signature, so I know this is him. But I'm going to ask him before he signs this. But I think that's about it. I think I'm not going to do more than 2, bro. Like, that's a lot for me. You know what I mean? Like 60 bones, like for two Sigs. That's pretty crazy. But if I had to pick one, like, because I might say, oh, I might get two, and then I get there and I start getting cheap and be like, nah, I'm just only gonna do this, just because get a joint of, I don't know if you guys remember the girls used to play double dutch and they used to try to hop in, try to find when to hop in. He's gonna try to find where to hop in on this joint, bro. Like, he's gonna like, hey, figure it out. You're an artist, you can do it. So let us know in the comments, what would you get signed by Gabriele Dell'Otto? I'm curious to see if there's going to be like con sketches or pre-con things, and I'm curious to see what that first day, Thursday, is like, what those VIPs come away with, because that's what you get the VIPs for, to try to raid the portfolios first. And so I'm curious. I think I'm pretty sure he's going to have some stuff that that people can buy that's not going to be so gaudy. Should be a lot of pre-done art there to choose from. Wish you can go. Hey man, well, we're gonna go in spirit. Go in your stead. Number one Marvel fan. I've never met Gabriele Dell'Otto, but I got a ton of books signed by him. I got friends that go to Lake Como every year, and I get stuff like, I got this Flash signed by Gabriele Dell'Otto. This was last year's Lake Como. I love this cover, dude, because it actually reminds me in a way of like the Flash TV show from like the 90s. It reminds me of like that, the OG Flash, OG Barry Allen Flash show. So I just love this cover for some reason. And I love the trade dressing. I just love this cover. Like, it's one of my favorite Gabriele Dell'Otto covers. And so I wanted to get this one signed. So I just want everybody to see that, Sig Slayers got Gabriele Dell'Otto's, and I'm going to be uploading Gabriele Dell'Otto's on the eBay store probably in about a couple days. And then after Megacon, I'll have a couple more. If you guys are interested in Gabriele Dell'Otto's, I'm getting all the hot stuff, but this here is mine right there. I love this. I think, like this one, and then the one in the graphic where he looks like Christopher Reeve, Superman looks like Christopher Reeves in the Fortress of Solitude. That's my introduction to Gabriele Dell'Otto, by the way. Like, I didn't know who he was until I was like, wait a minute. Quick story before we move on to the last topic. So once upon a time, someone at DC Comics gave me every cover of Action Comics 1000 for free. I saw every cover, and then I took all the ones that I liked, and then I gave the rest to the homies. So I didn't want to think about, okay, if this ratio of and that. No, if you want it, just take it. I got the ones that I like. This is what 2018, 2019, somewhere around there. And I pulled out the ones, and I was like, oh, this one's dope. This, Fortress of Solitude. He's in there kicking it. Save the day. He goes Fortress of Solitude before he has to listen to Lois Lane. He goes Fortress of Solitude, chilling. And then he, goes Metropolis, whatever. That's what I liked about that cover. And so that's my introduction to Gabriele Dell'Otto, was getting a box of free Action Comics 1000. And I was like, this one is cool. And then actually shout out to my boy Endless, Endless Collection. He was the one that kind of exposed me to a lot of his other work and stuff. But I've been a huge fan of him ever since. So it's been a few years now, but I'm definitely getting that AC 1000. Don't know what I would do past that. $30 is kind of steep. I try to stay in tier 1. And so I'm hoping that Scott Snyder still $10. James Tynion is still $3 for free. And then he's $10 after that. And so, I'll do all that stuff. But Greg Capullo, there's maybe a couple people that I'll pay tier 2 for. Joe Quesada is one, and then Gabriele Dell'Otto's 2. Anybody else can kick rocks. I'm not doing it. I ain't doing it. But there's so many other names, so many other people at the show, where even at Artist Alley, where there's still people that don't charge, or you can still get some freebies out there. So, but just to go back real quick, Mark, about last year, I just want to say, like, last year was comic heavy, man. Mike Grell's only appearance was at Megacon last year. And so there was a lot of people, dude. Simone Bianchi was there.
Mike Grell's tier 2 though, right?
Mike Grell is tier 2. He is $20. He was $20 a
Yeah.
signature last year. Got one of the best SIGs in the game. Uses one of the best markers. I dig Mike Grell. He's a chill dude. So all right, so we're going to conclude the show as we always do with Sig Slayer updates. We're always telling cats what's going on. This week, obviously, we got David Barron on the show, on his own show every week, coloring up stuff. And this week we have I never can get things right here. There we go. Add that to stage. There it is. We got a Brian Hitch piece. Okay. So this is actually from an upcoming The Last Days of Lex Luthor. This is not even out. I think this is issue 3. Issue 2 is not even out. So we're giving you a cover from 2 issues in the future. This is not a like fan art. This is actual published cover being colored in real time for you right here on the Sig Slayers station. So this is the outcome of this process episode will be the cover that you buy in stores. And this is, and everyone knows Brian Hitch. He's a long time vet, 30-year vet now. He's on Ghost Machine now. And so he's not even on DC anymore. He's I think they're like 10 or 11 issues in the red coat right now with Ghost Machine. So somehow, some way, I don't know when he finished this or whatever, but it was a lot of delays with the Last Days of Lex Luthor because I think this came out in 2023, issue 1, and then issue 2 is about to come out in 2025. So that's a huge delay. And so David Barron is the color artist, and he also is a feature artist on the Sig Slayers station. And this is a Brian Hitch and Kevin Nolan piece. Okay, so this is not even out. You can't even buy this comic yet, and you get a sneak peek of it on the Sig Slayers station. And as always, we have Doug Mankey animations every single Tuesday in shorts, and we're still working on widescreen long animations. But as you guys know, animations take a long time. But who have a bigger line? Oh, someone asked the question. Who will have a bigger line, McFarlane or Frank Miller? Okay, so we asked, what do we say, Dell'Otto or McFarlane? Now we got the 2 big dogs, right? Frank Miller and McFarlane. Who have the biggest line, guys?
McFarlane's free, but he's capped. I think McFarlane is, though. I think we decided that McFarlane's going to have the bigger line because he'll do 400 signatures and won't blink an eye, and each person only has one. Frank Miller costs $80. And he'll have a big line, but he won't have as big a line as McFarlane.
And D-Claw 04, I would agree Todd Mcfarlane would be longer because where Frank Miller is at, they kind of tuck him away in that little area. It's kind of meant to be, it's a big line, but it's kind of a controlled environment. And it's no way if the roles were reversed and Todd Mcfarlane was where they put Frank Miller, it would be chaotic in that little area. You remember where you were at last year, Mark?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I think that they're gonna have Todd Mcfarlane somewhere where there's gonna be some space. Where they had Frank Miller, it was like VIP. It was almost like a cocktail party, because everybody's paying $80 a sig, and so we have that. And then lastly, guys, so I'm not gonna tell you what animation I like that to be a surprise. What we're gonna drop each Tuesday. But we are working on longer form stuff that's going to make world premiere on the Sig Slayers station. So stay tuned for that. Doug Mankey, longtime DC artist, is also a featured artist on the Sig Slayers station. And then Sig Slayers proper, the Thursday interview. We have Derek Robertson this Thursday, the co-creator of The Boys. We talk about a bunch of stuff. Oh, man. Mark, what are your reflections of that day we interviewed Derek Robinson?
He's a G, man. That he's down for he's down for the people, man. I'm gonna be happy to see him when he's at WonderCon, and I'm gonna give him big props and go watch that interview. He's just a great guy, man.
Man, that had the most technical difficulties ever, but it worked out. Michael Gorman, I like his logic here. McFarlane will be very busy the whole weekend. Frank will be get the cutoff time at some point on Saturday, and he's gone. So
Yeah.
that's exactly how it is. There, I mean, obviously there will be a bunch of handlers for both of them, but Todd is going to be mad busy. So I definitely agree. And then, what did it say here? Scott Snyder will be the third biggest line. D-Claw 04. I'm gonna tell you this: Scott Snyder's line on Friday last year was bananas. And then think about this, D-Claw. Greg Capullo is going to be there with him this year. Last year he wasn't there. So you got Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder, and they normally sign at the same time, usually because they were comic sketch art. So I think that's going to be bananas. I'm going to be wearing elbow pads, like I'm Akeem Olajuwon, because I'm trying to make sure I get my position. So I gotta go back to my basketball drills, get my post up skills together, work on the box out, because it's going to get crazy. And now that I know that these guys in Orlando, they do not care. Hey, I'll be throwing them balls just with them. I'll be throwing them balls right with them. So, yeah. So, just to recap, we have Derek Robinson next week on the Sig Slayers station, and we have a bunch of other stuff. We won't be here next week. Okay, so we won't have a Stash Wars Live next Friday because we will be at MegaCon, but we will be showing footage from MegaCon almost real time. It will be edited, but you will see con interviews. You will see live sketches. We'll be at Doug Mankey's table. I'm gonna try to get sketch footage from Jorge Jimenez. I doubt if Libra Mayhel draws a single line, but if I'll try to open their portfolios and show you guys what they bring, because it's always fun to see what they curate for the shows. So you guys will be able to see that stuff. So the people that won't be at MegaCon, the Sig Slayers got your back. We'll show you what's in those portfolios. We'll show you what they're sketching, and we show you that we're having a good time. So we won't be live next week, but we will be having footage from MegaCon, and then the following week we'll be unpacking MegaCon with some homies. And so there's that. Gentlemen, this was fantastic, man. I love it. It was an hour and 18 minutes, sweet, short. Any final thoughts, Jason? Anything you want to announce? Anything you want to share to the audience while we have their attention?
So thanks for having me on again. I love talking the art, the SIGs, the comics, and all the kind of good stuff in between, and the con scene, as it were. So have fun at MegaCon next week, and don't blow your kids' inheritance or anything.
Right. I definitely hear that. D-Claw will be there. If you see us, say what's up.
Let me know. I'll get you a tier 1 signature.
Tier 1.
Tier 1 signature.
One tier 1. He's handing out SIGs like Oprah hands out TVs. You funny. Well, thank you guys once again. Please be sure to subscribe to the Sig Slayer station. We're gonna be once again, like I said, we have Last Day of Lex Luthor right now. You can see that right now after the live. See how the magic gets done by 30-year vet David Barron, and we have about, I don't know how many, but we have over 15 or 20 animations on our playlist, and I'm adding more each week. Guys, everybody have a great weekend. I'm going to get my books all together. I'm going to be strategic. I'm going to do it the right way, because I want to be able to cover the show the best way I can. So everybody, each week, tune in to Stash Wars Live. Each week, tune in to the Southern Comic Geeks content. Each week, Tune in to Sig Slayers every Thursday, and we have also clips of interviews every Friday as well. So with that being said, please subscribe. We are out of here, guys. Peace.